Hey guys, so as you've seen on the thumbnail, I've got a Nissan S15. So in this video I'm going to bring you guys up to speed with a story of me getting it and the 10 years that I've owned it and the state that it's in at the moment. So back when I initially first found drifting, see the videos of the Japanese drivers drifting up the mountains, tough or toge and all that, and then from there started looking into it, and an S15 stood out to me as one of my favourite cars. So started making inquiries on how to get one and the cost and all that, and then that led me to Torque GT in Devon. So got their number, phoned them up, said what I was looking for. They told me a rough price, what I'd need to get. So I was happy with that, told them to start looking. So what they done then is sent me a few different cars via email for me to have a look at and see what I liked. So I think it was about the third car they sent me, and I was happy. I'll put some pictures in like a slide so you can see the pictures that they sent me. So when it came from Japan, it had HKS coilovers, it had a HKS catback, unbranded front mount, and I think it was a Cusco, but there was no sticker, front strut brace. And from memory that was it. It was, other than that, totally standard. Still had the cat in it, standard airbox, and that was that. So you know, if you haven't imported anything, obviously that's the process. They'll send you pictures. If you're happy, you'll pay a deposit. I think it was about £2,000, and then to show that you're serious, and then obviously they'll bid and win the car for you. You'll get notified when they've won it, and then they'll just keep you up to date basically of its shipment from Japan. So they contacted me when I was in the country. They had it, put it through an MOT, registered it, so then that, and they supplied me with the car's reg, and from that I could insure it, and then we agreed a date so I go down and collect it. So I've had quite a few ups and downs with this car in my ownership, and the first one was on the first day of picking it up. So it was 10 years ago. I don't know a massive amount about cars now, but I know enough, and I know a lot more now than I have done back when I picked this up. So prior to owning this, I've never been in anything like it at all. You know, my first car was I think it was either a Mark III or Mark IV Fiesta, which was about 60-70 brake horse, 1.3. So, and this was my second car, so it was a bit of a jump. I didn't know anyone with Japanese cars, anything like that, so I didn't know what to expect when driving it. But even with that lack of knowledge, when I drove it, I knew something, it should have been more powerful than it was then. So it was like it was a standard 2 litre, like an NA. You put your foot down and it, you know, it pulled, but it was nothing special then, you know. So it was a bit, but obviously I never drove one, so I don't know either. But anyway, even the guy who came out with a test drive with me from Torque GT, he agreed that, you know, something isn't 100% with it. So across the road from there, from Torque GT, which I think they do the MOTs and bits like that, so they had it over there. So what was meant to be picking up a car quite easy, test drive, pay the money and I'm gone, I was virtually down there all day. They were going through it, checking various things. They weren't sure either. There was another Nismo S15, and they took it's either spit or split fire ignition coils. They took them out of that and put them in mine, thinking it was that. Long story short, they didn't know what it was. So, being a gamble and obviously being very excited as well, I took the car. Prior to collecting this, I had seen someone who lived in my local area and he had an S15, but I didn't know him. So I managed to, through friends of friends, track down this guy, and then he came and met me when I got mine back to where I live, and to try and diagnose basically the lack of power. And he was stumped for a bit, and both of us looking over the engine bay, not really, you know, just to see if there's anything obvious, you know, like boost leak or anything like that. And the rubber intake going to the airbox, it's like an elephant trunk looking thing. It had collapsed in on itself, and it was just stuck. So basically, it's choking its air intake. So noticed that. So we uncrumpled it, and then took it for a spin. And it started a build boost, which it never had, and there was a big loud pop noise. So that sucked itself back in. So I found, I think it was Apex or Pexi salt, hard one, like aluminium ones. So I put that on there, and different car. It was full boost. Scared of it, to be honest, especially coming from Fiesta. Different world. But good times. Not that I can remember what it feels like to drive it because it's been so long. But and yeah, that was that. So I started, obviously the first thing you do, buying a drift car, you book a drift day, don't you? So I booked Santa Pod. It was a few months time from owning it, so done a little bit, so service stuff, changed all the oils, things like that. So obviously in my ownership I knew that it was done. And at the time I bought solid diff and rear subframe mounts, which I later regret having the solid subframe mounts, because they were a nightmare to remove down the line. And I bought Nismo engine and gearbox mounts. Bought like a little manual boost controller, like a cheapy thing. Adjusted that so I upped the boost a little bit. And that was that, basically. So the car was in bits prior to going. I think I got the car back together the night before we were due to go, very much under the wire. And then, so there was 4 of us going up to Santa Pod. It was me and my mate Mondi. He had an S14A at the time. Richie, you might know him from Driftworks or SXOC, Richie 200, or Richard Greco. He had the blue S15. It was originally an auto, but we'd done the swap and all that. And Thule. Obviously Thule is well known with his Rocket Bunny S15, the burgundy colour. So that was my first drift day. Drift day went really well. On the way home, water line to the turbo burst. It was the old hard lines, and obviously I had to stop because the temps shot up. Luckily I had recovery with my insurance, so I brought it home. Then stayed off the road for a little bit, so I obviously all the hot side had to come off, turbo, exhaust manifold and the rest of it. So whilst I was doing that, I upgraded the complete exhaust. So DCAT, I had a HKS manifold, turbo elbow and downpipe, so I had a complete HKS exhaust on it. And I upgraded the the old hard lines going to the turbo to braided lines, which is obviously a common upgrade. But obviously it sat for maybe a couple of months. It wasn't too long, but obviously it sat. And then when I started it, all fine. Took it for a spin, all good. I noticed a very slight tick. Little did I know, it's a common fault that the spray bars under the rocker cover which lubricate the cams, one of mine had blocked. So, and it wore 2 to 3 mil off one of the cams. I can't remember which side it was. So then my engine was full of metal filings, and then that was the main downfall of it, and that's why it sat in off the road basically for 9 years. What I done, I was mulling over, because you can imagine you just gutted, but didn't know what to do with it. Obviously it'd be worthless selling it as it was, because obviously it wasn't running. Somebody then would have to put an engine in it and all the rest of it. And then I thought, no, it's a dream car, so I'm gonna bite the bullet and keep it. So I sold things off it which I thought I wouldn't need, some of them which have turned out that I do need, which I've sold. But it is what it is. So I sold all the body, well, all the standard. It was a non-aero Spec R. So all the bumpers went, the wings were starting to have rust on them. So I sold them, somebody needed them for like mock-up or chopping them to put flares or something on. Bonnet and boot went. The boot, I was going to get like fiberglass or carbon bonnet at the time. That was my thought, so obviously I didn't need the standard one. And the boot, when it came from Japan, it had holes drilled in it. So if it was smooth, I probably would have kept it, but because there was holes already drilled in it, I just thought, well, once again, either get fiberglass or carbon. The doors, with low cars, you can sometimes open the door and it drags across a curb, the bottom of it. They were like that. They're starting to bubble a bit from when they were in Japan, but obviously because it sat a while off the road, they were starting to go a bit. So I salted doors, so you're pretty much left with a rolling shell minus the interior and that. And obviously so I split all the engine up, salt all that. I've still got the block just there. The head went, turbo went, pretty much everything. The front mount went, all the HKS exhaust went. Interior wise, seats, door cards, there's no interior left. The only thing I've got left from the interior is the dashboard, and the lower part of the dash as well, which goes where your radio is and all that. Other than that, it's pretty much a rolling shell, and it had obviously all the loom and all the wiring was kept. So at that stage, stripped all. Before I fully stripped it like that, it was sat in the garden. So I built the garage. Took me like 3 years, and that's the garage we're in now. So I delayed any progress on the car to build a garage to be able to build the car. That was the plan. But then other things come up in between. You get a family, you have kids, get a house, and then you think, well, I'll build a cheap car just to scratch the urge, so to say. So then the compact was built. Obviously all of that time goes by when nothing's getting done to this. So I thought, enough's enough, and I'm going to start doing something to it. So the start of the work to it then was to fully strip it, take all the glass out of it, have it sandblasted, the complete underside, all the bay and all in the wheel arches. So, because it had a couple of bubbles, the odd little hole, but nothing major, but it had the start of rust in quite a few places, but nothing really bad. You know, it was very clean considering, because it has been dry stored for, you know, 6-7 years, so it's not too bad, but it like I said, it was stuck outside for a few years, so it hasn't left the garage in years. It went out for sandblasting, and this is the next part of the disappointment. They lifted up on a forklift, so they I'm not sure 100% sure what they're called. There's like 2 rails that go under the car. They're not strong enough to jack off, but obviously they lifted it with a forklift, so all them are crumpled in. Where they drove the forks in to the side of the car, they've managed to dent both sides of my sills. They've clipped the rear driver's side, like rear quarter, and burst the seam. And they've managed to dent both rear quarters. So, as you can imagine, I was absolutely gutted with that, and not amused, to say the least. I'm not going to mention where it is, because I'm not, you know, I don't slate anyone off or anything like that. I won't recommend them, obviously, but I'm not, you know, starting like a hate thing either, you know, so I'm not getting into that. But it was a long time battling back and forth with them, because they were like, oh, you know, we didn't do this and all the rest of it. I was like, well, I've got pictures of the car prior to it coming to you, and there's no dents. So you basically, they were trying their utmost not to pay out. So it was only when they had their final warning from me, from the solicitor, that if you don't do nothing, we'll be in court. That's when they decided to pay out. So that nightmare aside, but the car was blasted there. It was just damaged when I collected it. So at least one positive is we could see where any areas that needed treating. So the next thing then, the car went up to a fabricator in England, because there's a couple around here, but it basically, it was going to go to one guy, but he wouldn't repair rust, or he doesn't repair rust. So, but I wanted him to do the fabrication work to it. So because he didn't do that, it went to another place which done repair the rust, but they also do fabrication work. So, because this was, it went to him, and then the very first lockdown came in, so it was stuck there. So obviously they done the rust, sorted all that, and then whilst it was there, and obviously because I haven't got a trailer or anything, transport bills for me taking a car from Wales to England, you know, it can be like £250, £300 one way. So, you know, this going out, coming back, you're throwing away like £600 a pop. So I thought, as it's there, that's £600 of a saving, rather than it going somewhere else, could go on the car. So obviously it's money well spent. It went up, had work done. And then it came back from there, because obviously that one place would do all the work, and that was that. And that's basically it, the story till now. So I'm not sure if I mentioned, but obviously it was a pearl white 1999 Spec R S15. I can't remember the mileage, but I have got a picture, so I'll put that in one of the slides as well. Right, so let's show you how it sits at the moment. looking now. I'll give you a bit of a walk around the car. Show you how it sits more in person. So as you can see, it's tubbed on the front with some gussets. Just had little bits done, like they usually rust here around there, that burst, but obviously with having the tubs, they cut most of that out at the back there, both sides. As you can see, the cage. Not sure if you can see it's hard to see, but that's all dented. It's a bit dusty now, so it's hard to see, but they're small, but they're dented, you know, when they weren't originally. A little bit of repair there on that seam. I cut that to reinstall because I'm leaving that dash bar in. See, painstakingly took all the sound deadening out of it, which was an absolute nightmare. Little tip with that, if any of you guys are doing it, isopropanol alcohol in a big container and a load of dry ice, mix it all up and chuck it in, and it just comes off in sheets. You can use a heat gun, it just makes it more sticky, and it's a complete nightmare. But the dry ice method is a game changer. So I removed all the glass. I managed to smash my windscreen, which was good, but all the other glass I've managed to save. I've still got a little random hole there which has been sorted, but other than that, it's not too bad. This is what they've damaged. Burst here. It looks like it's had filler in Japan at some point. You can just make it out by there, but they've dented. It's hard to see but they've dented all that in. Obviously, that's how it should look. Not like that. But that can be sorted again. It's not. I've had enough nightmares with this not to cry over spilt milk. But there she is. So as you can see, there's a fair bit missing. But we'll get it done. Well, I know that was a bit long-winded, guys, but I'm really pleased to show you this thing, because I've been keeping quiet about me owning it. So now that it's actually out in the open, we can look forward to seeing a lot more content on this and the progression of the build. So stick around to find out my plans for this car and what I intend doing with it. And as always, if you like and subscribe, it'd be much appreciated. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one.